which will help me in exuding this beautiful smile on my face, which will exude only if my heart is happy inside and my mind is clean and clear. So with this, thank you all of you for joining on time. I'm sure more participants will join as the time moves ahead. So let me just go on to the slide. Yeah, so as you can see, we have started these workshops since December 2020. We have quite a few new participants joining today from different parts of the world. So welcome all of you as well. So just to give you all a recap, since you all are new to this, we had started with sacrifice and contentment and acceptance in December. Then we entered the Avyakt month of January, which is the beautiful month, takes us into more of meditation all the time. We covered two beautiful values of accuracy and introspection. Then also along with that, we covered concentration, and simultaneously we do these silence retreats once a month. So that the time we did the silence retreat on concentration. All of you are aware that February is the month of love, which is celebrated universally. Our own Valentine is Shiv Baba. So we had covered this entire workshop series of in three parts on love. Followed by that, we went into these other three values, which you can see. And continuing on our journey in the last month, Mama's month, we had these two beautiful values, which Mama was an embodiment of: detachment and economy. And this month, all of you are aware, it is Didi Manmohini. I mean, she was initially the controller of the yajna. Controllers, in the sense, not a very strong word. Controller, in the sense, she used to be responsible for the entire yajna proceedings. And she had this beautiful balance of being very, very economical. But at the same time, she was like big hearted as well. She used to like Udar Chit Hoke, she used to do everything for all the Yagyavasis. So in her month, we have started this on responsibility. Asha Didi covered the talk and we did the workshop as well. And today we are doing cheerfulness. We had Sister Jayanti who gave the talk 1 week ago. We'll be covering that summary later. As all of you know, we usually do that after 45 minutes. The last 15 minutes of the first hour, we'll be doing that. So let's move on to the drill. We say the icebreaker drill. Icebreaker is just to know each other very well, and now we know each other very well. And welcome again to the new participants. You all are also a part. You all don't feel you all are alien to this group. You all are a part of our entire big Behad Ki family. So coming to this drill, I'll just play. I'll just request Anu sister to play in a while, but I just want to explain you all that in this drill, it's a fantastic drill where Baba is speaking about how to be internally happy and how to develop these two things. Harshit Mukta is something external, but how to be Harshit Chit, whereby हमारा जो चित्त है, आप उसको मन कह सकते हो, उसको आप दिल कह सकते हो. तो दिल साफ है तो मुराद हासिल है, as दादी जानकी says, it's Baba's slogan. So if I am inside, my heart is very, very clean, it will be always happy. So Baba is touching upon this, how to be Harshit Chit as well. And truth, such the Vetho Nach, we say in Sindhi, which is if someone is truthful all the time, he or she will be dancing. So Baba is covering these two aspects, Harshit Chit and truthfulness. So we'll enjoy in Baba's direct voice. Over to Anu sister to play the video. Yeah.
सदा खुशी में नाचती रहेंगी। कभी खुशी कम, कभी खुशी ज्यादा। ऐसा नहीं होना।
Yes, so welcome again. So thank you, Anu sister, for the Babdada's drill. So just to summarize that today in the workshop, we'll be working on this aspect, how to develop these two things which Baba said. You need to have the purity, and in that the reality and royalty of purity, which can only come from working on my own drishti and vritti. That is my perception and also my attitude. And it reminds me of today's Murli, that today's Sunday Murli, if you are cheerful, you will automatically have a lot of zeal and enthusiasm, umang utsaha, because today's Murli is all about that Sunday Murli. So thank you so much. And we move on to the next exercise. Anu sister, over to you.
Thank you, Manoj brother. Let me put up the slides. Okay. So that was really beautiful drill. So the cheerfulness has to come from inside and from our heart. And then it is true cheerfulness outside. And like Manoj brother said, it will give us a lot of, it will show the enthusiasm and zeal in us. So moving on to the first exercise, as we'll be reflecting on cheerfulness, we will reflect on the attributes of cheerfulness. So what are the attributes that we see in a person who is cheerful? So for that, we will ask you to reflect on a person you know in your life who has always been cheerful by nature. So take just few seconds to think of a person who is coming in front of your mind now, whom you have seen as cheerful by nature. So there are people who are cheerful by nature, like they may not be 100% always cheerful, but you see they are mostly cheerful. And if we have figured out the person, the two things we want to notice in them are write down the attitudes, that's called vritti in Hindi. Attitudes are that thought patterns that actually reflect in our behavior, in our actions. So that is more easy to notice in others. So the attitude, that person who is cheerful, what are the attitudes they show? And the other one is perspective. That is how they view, look at the world, people, situations. So in Hindi, we say drishtikon or nazariya. So what is their drishtikon about everything, about life, that actually forms, gives rise to that attitude that they hold. So to be more clear, let's just take an example, a negative one a bit, that if you think, if your perspective is that toys spoil children, so then you won't ever buy toys for children for a gift. So the attitude about toys will be not good. So because your lookout about toys is that it's not a good thing to give to children. And a positive example is like kindness, humility. These are all shown in our actions, behavior. We can notice that in people. So that is attitude. And those attitudes come from the perspective that we should be helpful to each other, we should treat each other with respect, there should be harmony. So it is more about that inner thoughts. So like we saw inner and outer. So attitudes are more in our action and behavior we can see, and perspective is like our view or opinion about things, and that's coming from that inner thought pattern or belief. So with this understanding, I hope it is clear that you can notice the attitudes that you have seen in the person you have chosen now, that is the cheerful person you have seen in your life. So write down the attitudes. I feel that is easier to get. And perspective. If you know the person enough, maybe you can also know their drishtikon perspective. So we'll take just 2 minutes to write down the attitudes and perspectives of a cheerful person whom we know in our life. I hope that you all have got the attitudes and perspectives of a cheerful person. So now we can take some sharings. Anyone who is ready to share? You can tell the person if you want and the attitudes and perspectives if you have written down. Yes, Aarti, please go ahead.
Om Shanti. I have written about my Tauji, real Tauji, and he left his body last year in 2020 in pandemic, and he faced a lot of situation. Still, he was very happy and he took his life very easily. It was not my family attraction with him or any attachment. It was my soul conscious stage. I absorbed many things from him because he faced a lot of situation in his lifetime. So from that perspective, he really helped me when I was in a difficult situation just by giving his views. What is life and how you can carry on your life. It was around 10 years back, 10 to 15 years back, जब उन्होंने मुझे ये नॉलेज दी थी. तो इतना सब कुछ होने के बाद भी, इतना दुख झेलने के बाद भी, इवन लास्ट मोमेंट पे he was not able with his neck and उनकी वॉइस भी चली गई थी. पैंडेमिक से पहले ही उनको 2 years पहले ये सर्वाइकल अटैक एंड ऑल हुआ था. उसके बावजूद भी उन्होंने, जब भी उनसे वीडियो कॉल पे बात करते, he always show his cheerfulness, smiling face हमेशा उनका रहता था, and it was not artificial. जहां तक मुझे लगता है बिल्कुल भी नहीं था. Thank you. I can't hear you.
Okay, thank you so much, Aarti ji. Thank you so much sharing. See, it did 10 years and you are still remembering that. So that's how he's the person. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Maybe briefly, you can say the person name and the attitudes and perspectives. Who else is ready?
Sorry, I joined in late. I want to know the discussion is about so that I can contribute.
Okay, Swati. Maybe let's see if anyone else is ready to share. Yes, Rachna, you can please speak. Okay, Vijay bhai, please hold on. Rachna, sister, you can share, please.
Om Shanti, sister. It is about my husband, and he is always very cheerful. And what I have observed is that about his attitude is that he's very good humored. In the most serious of the situations, I don't know how he is able to convert that situation into a scene of comedy. So he has a very good sense of humor. And what I understand about his perspective is that he's a man who lives totally in the present, doesn't give much thought about analyzing the past, and nor does he worry much or plan much about the future. So he's living in the present.
Thank you so much, Rachna. Sure, that makes sense. So live in the present and the humor he could maintain. Who else want to share? Vijay bhai, आपका turn थोड़ा देर बाद लेंगे. Anybody else wants to share? Anyone new? Please unmute yourself. Okay, Aldabel, you want to share?
Yes, I want to share. As an attitude of a cheerful person, I'm thinking about my stepdaughter. She's very easygoing and approachable. And as a perspective over life and situations, she takes adversity less seriously and more optimistic.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
Adversity with less seriousness and optimistic, and so she's easygoing. Thank you so much. Anyone else? There are so many. Two participants raise hand. Okay, okay, Manoj Kumar, If you'd like to share, please.
Yes, I'm Shanti. So this is about my uncle. So his perspective of life is that everything is a play. So be it a challenge, be it a game, be it anything, it's just a play. And so that's how he kind of feeds his enthusiasm from anything and everything. So he's kind of always cheerful in that sense.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Enthusiastic because everything in life is a play.
yeah.
Beautiful. How beautifully people are coming up with the perspective and the attitudes, connecting them. That's beautiful. Anyone else? Any new people who would like to share, who have joined today? I hope, Swati, you have got it, that what would be the attitude and perspective of a cheerful person? If you can get that, you were asking that question, but anyone else?
Yes, I understood. I got that.
Okay. Um, anyone else want to share? Bob, D, Giti Sudha, or Gargi. There are so many new people. If you can quickly share. Okay, you can also put in the chat box. Anybody want to put in the chat box, please go ahead. Vijay Bhai, if you can say in half a minute, quickly, we would like to hear you.
Om Shanti, and all my dear brothers and sisters, please accept my greetings of love, peace, and happiness. The cheerfulness attitude in my whole family, but let me point out Shakti, my wife. She is very cooperative all the time, seva bhavana. She is always ready to help not only us, but all the people around in our family and in our society. Everybody comes to her, please help us in this, and she is ready to help. So that cheerfulness automatically on her face and also on others whom she is helping by karma, by vacha, by sankalp, every time by action she is helping. एंड दूसरा चीयरफुलनेस है कि वो किसी की कमजोरी कमी को नहीं देखते और सबको अच्छा सहयोग देने के लिए एज ए दाता है cheerfulness. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vijay Bhai. It's beautiful sharing, right? So always ready to help everyone, and the cooperation is seen in the attitude. So there are some in the chat box. Manoj brother says his car cleaner, he's always cheerful, attitude of openness and honesty with a big heart is the perspective. Oh, that's the attitude. And perspective is life is temporary, so keep helping others. Perspective, life is temporary, so keep helping others. Thank you, Pooja sister. And Shova says it's her cousin. She has attitude like that. She have no criticism. So the attitude of having no criticism for anyone and positive. She remains positive in every situation. Ashwini brother says his mother is always cooperative, spirit of cooperation and giving love to all. So that would be the perspective. She thinks everybody, she should give love. Deepak Bhai says, mother, again, acceptance and gets along with all. So we should get along with all. Maybe that is the perspective. Mahesh brother says his brother and mentally strong and positive. Is mentally strong and positive. That would be maybe the attitude also we can see, and the positiveness in the perspective. It's very closely related, but perspective develops the attitude we can see in action. Shivani sister says her mom, she was always cheerful, attitude, no victimization of yourself. That's the attitude, no victimization of the self. And perspective, time is the best healer. That's beautiful. Leave it to time. Okay. So Yeah, we got quite a bit. Suresh says, since he has joined, it's an opinion. See, since he has joined Brahma Kumaris, he has felt very cheerful. Satlin says, his child, who is curious, not judgmental, and energizing the environment around. Not judgmental, curious, and energizing the environment around. That's
Stanu,
really beautiful. Yeah.
Stanu,
Yeah.
please.
Yes, so we'll stop now, wrap up. That was really beautiful. So many sharings came up, and we heard it all, we read it all. So that's beautiful. You will receive this sharing, so you'll have it with you. Thank you so much. Over to you, Brother Manoj.
Yes. Thank you. Wonderful sharings. We're always squeezed with the time in these workshops. We have so many people joining, and it's difficult to keep pace with all of them. But no worries, we can take sharing in the next activity as well. So you all are aware of this attitude now and the perspective. That is in Hindi, we beautiful words, rhyming words, vritti and drishti. And then we go further to what is my kritti, what is my behavior. So what is my attitude, what is my perspective will be reflected in my behavior. So let us go further in this action planning mode, which I like to call it action planning. I'll just start sharing the screen. Having seen that, let us just take 1 minute again to reflect on this. I'll play some music as well. And sit back, relaxed. Don't reflect much on any other thing now. I'll just a minute. So ask yourself, having looked at so many beautiful values related to the attitude and perspectiveness of cheerfulness, can I pick and choose a few which will help me to remain cheerful at either my workplace or at home? All these beautiful examples which all of you have given, can I pick a few qualities and also be cheerful? So churn on the few ways which will help to become cheerful. Right. So hope I am not giving you less time, but let me just share the screen again. And so as you can see, I need to really enhance my cheerfulness. It may be say around 20, 30, but I need to go up 40, 50 if you just want to give it a number, or even maybe 100, why not? So write down a few ways or methods which you can embrace to increase the cheerfulness in your life on both these levels, personal and professional. So that's the activity about. And I'm sure there are many more responses to come. I'll just stop sharing and again start looking at all of you from the gallery view so that I can pick and choose on people now. Is it okay? So yeah, so Pooja Ben has started sharing. Pooja Ben, can we be a bit incognito? Is that okay? And then I can show them later so that I can see them, if that's okay. Yeah. So thank you. So yeah, so I have many people who have on their camera, so that's fine. And you all have shared as well. Yeah, so Vinaya, you want to say something because you have mentioned in the chat box, yes. So I feel you want to say something. You want to share about the ways. And I would request all of you all to be brief, half minute to 1 minute max. Yeah.
No, brother. In fact, you said you can you choose on to people. So that's the yes was for that. I want new people to share. I will be the last one if
Good.
time permits.
No problem. Thank you. So let me just start with people. You all can keep your video cameras off. No worries. Anurag wants to share, or Gargi, or Victoria, Bob. I'll just try to pick up different people who haven't shared so far. So the ones who have shared, please don't mind. Stalin, you all want to speak now? You all had chatted in the box before.
Shanti Bhaiji.
Yes. Anurag, go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I missed.
Yeah, the question is that from whatever sharing we took about attitude and perspective in the last activity, what can I do? What are the different ways or methods to increase my cheerfulness in my life?
I think the best I love was to stay in the present, to put that full stop about past and future and stay in the present, and use my humor. I do have a bit of English humor, which is little different from what Indian humor is. So, and people do say that I can use that in a different way. Sometimes I think I lost that somewhere a couple of years. So I'm going to reinforce that and use that humor to make people smile.
Great. The COVID pandemic really has done a lot of damage in that way. We have lost all that cheerfulness. So good, these two things, applying full stop.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And applying humor. Great. So can I request other people now as well? We have quite a few people from England as well. I think I know them, but I'm not picking their names. Yeah, who is speaking?
Stalin.
Stalin, yeah, go ahead. You have to speak a bit louder.
Okay. Understand the drama.
Okay.
And understand karma. Leave it to Baba. Enjoy the life.
Right. So for people who are new in the audience, Baba is, when we say Baba is the incorporeal, it's God. God's name, hum pyar se unko Baba kehte hain. So just to get a perspective, it is not about any body form. Aarti is saying, so thank you, Brother Stalin. Aarti is saying she wants to be cheerful and full of energy by talking, good, and venting out all the vices. So talking and venting, getting rid of all the vices. Then I would request others also to start putting in the chat box, because I think that is a bit faster if you all don't want to speak. Deepak bhai, you want to speak something? Yeah.
Yeah, like for being cheerful, we need to take life as easygoing and not get too serious.
Okay, good. So humor and easygoing काफी match हो रहा है. Right, I can request other people also. Yeah, who's speaking? Sorry.
Yeah, this is Swati here.
Swati, go ahead.
I think in the challenging times, having the ability to accept the situation, which is going very tough with many, including me, is like the pandemic just shifted my house from, I was residing in Mumbai in India, and has made me shift all the way in northeast, far northeast in Assam. So that thing, for temporary, for few days, I was quite unhappy till I just sat with myself and I changed my mind. So this is one thing which I felt, the ability to accept the situation as it is.
Interesting. Thank you. So people otherwise are locked down at home.
Because I was in Mumbai, you have people from metros all over, it's a mixed crowd, and Northeast is an alien land, but then it was so green, we deliberately chose. But then for me, people were very different. So I think that accepting, developing the ability to accept them helped me a lot.
Good. So you're one of those chosen ones who can move out and at least move temporarily the residence, because people are still at lockdown at home. So you're more lucky that way. Great. Sheila is saying positivity, attitude of positivity will help her. Great. Suresh is saying giving time to Baba's Gyan and Murlis. So probably it is spiritual knowledge which will help us to the attitude of just trying to inculcate the knowledge in our life that will help us. Anup's sister is saying practice. Practice is very important. Practice makes you perfect. Staying peaceful as well. So practice and peace. I'm helping you, Pooja Bain, to be a bit essential, because there are quite a few big lines here. Again, knowledge of drama, I think, has been covered. Ashwini Bhai is saying thank you. And he's saying, reminding self that I'm an actor. Yes, so actor, trying to play the role of drama. I mean, trying to play the role of actor in the drama of life and giving happiness to others. I don't know who Om Shanti is. If you can just name yourself, but it is a beautiful name, Om Shanti. Sharing your worries with Baba. So share and care, I think. So Baba is taking care of you and share everything with him or her. Let me just, in the next 3-4 minutes, go to some people who have joined from different cities. So Roshan Behan or Bhai, I don't know, or even Khushi Behan, they will want to share. Hindi में भी share कर सकते हो, no problem. English चलता है हमारे यहाँ. So if you all want to share, in the meantime, Gargi is saying meditation for the first 5 minutes, reading Murli, fantastic. Swati is again saying constantly being aware. Yes, yes, Smriti Milana, and being aware will make you cheerful, being aware of your thoughts. Yes, Vijay Bhai, I'm sharing your things. It is just, there were too many things, it just went up and up. So Vijay Bhai is saying accepting all and without any questions will liberate less negative thoughts. So we have to be away from negative thoughts. And you have also mentioned a lot of knowledge points over there, that I am the child of ocean of knowledge, ocean of love. So thank you. Shobha Behan is saying applying full stop. Yes, we've already covered that. Laughter therapy. Yes, fantastic. Laughter therapy is one more thing, and sitting in silence. Yeah, Srishti, 3810E Srishti, go ahead.
Om Shanti Bhaiji. As I feel for cheerfulness, I must know how precious my life is and my relatives too. When I give priority to them, I must keep myself cheerfulness for myself and for others. And Baba is always with me. He's my best friend. So he keeps up me up already, almost all every time. Thank you.
Are you also into knowledge, Srishti Behan?
Hanji Ji Bhaiji.
Okay,
I go
fine.
to center.
Because you know,
I'm from Varanasi.
Varanasi. Okay, thank you. Because sometimes what happens, we use this word very often, Baba, Baba. So I felt even people who are not into Brahma Kumaris have also started saying Baba. So I just want to confirm that. With due respect to all the people, that's okay. So that's fine. Yeah. So anyone else? Again, Gargi is saying Mera Baba is the key for cheerfulness. Yeah. And in the meantime, thank you, Vidhi sister, for reminding me that if you're, there are quite a few new people. So if you want to be intimated about these programs, so kindly share your emails and WhatsApp numbers in the chat box, either to Vidhi's sister or you can send it to everyone. So if you're not comfortable, you can also send it to everyone or to Vidhi's sister. Yeah, Sadaf sister, go ahead. You have raised your hand.
Yeah, Om Shanti, brother, and Om Shanti, everyone. So from the previous sharing, I took 2 points for myself to increase the cheerfulness. One was I'll try to be more cooperative, as Baba says, Sayogi. So I'm working on that. And the second one was, which was very interesting, it was to convert the harsh scenes of life into more humorous one. So by the knowledge of drama, that is actually the detachment or the sakshi bhav, that I think helps to be more cheerful when we take it as by that perspective. So that was very helping for me, that by that perspective, I look at the scene in that way, that it's not that heavy for me, the lightness. So thank you so much, Om Shanti.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing and representing that part of the world where you are from. Thank you so much. So I would request Pooja Behan to just show me the sharings, and I'll just take the last sharing from the chat box. A beautiful Vinaya has mentioned, keep your inner child alive. Let that childlike innocence be there. माफ करते चलो, flexibility, सब कुछ जो भी है हमारे पास, be in that mode. Yes. Oh, there are 2 slides. Right. So let us just go to the first one. Yeah. So as you can see, it's good your names have been written. So you all can, when we share the material with you, you can just check out correct tha ki nahi jo maine bola tha. So I'm not taking names, but just overall, I felt the common thing which came out was accepting the life as it comes, having that inner childlike attitude, putting a humor. You can apply a full stop only when you are humorous about situations in life. If you are really so uptight and so stressed about every situation all the time, it's very difficult to apply a full stop. People said meditation and giving time to spirituality, yes, very important. A few people shared about the aspects of knowledge, like spiritual knowledge, particularly listening to the daily murlis, the elevated versions. Then you can really start implementing those points which I have said much more easier. And Gyan and Yoga, as we said, Brahma Kumaris, the knowledge about things, and the meditation, the Yoga ki Shakti, which will give you the power to implement that in your life. So these few things, laughter therapy, fantastic. And also being cooperative and helping others, that can really help in increasing your cheerfulness. So fantastic sharing. Let me just thank you, Pooja Behan, for that. And all of you, thanks so much for being so enthusiastic. It reminds me of today's Murli again, that umang utsaah hai aap sab mein sharing karne ka. Bhale Manoj bhai leta nahi hamari sharing, fast jata hai, but you all were at least sharing on the chat box. So thank you. So let me just now in the next, we have almost 10 to 13 minutes. I'll just go to our routines, what we do. So we had this episode 17 on cheerfulness. We had respected Jayanti Didi sharing on this last weekend. She said that she reminded she reminded to us about Dadi Janki, that's DJ mentioned in here. And Didi mentioned that what is the root cause of cheerfulness? So really everything burns down to being inside. Didi also touched upon everything internally. And she mentioned that how Dadi Janki said that someone told Dadi Janki that he is happy and content with himself, but he's not interested in acquiring any spiritual knowledge. So Dadi Janki asked him, it's okay, you don't want to have knowledge, you are happy and content with self, but how many people can you make happy? So that brother really was wonderstruck. And for that, to make other people happy, I have to really learn spirituality, and I can really spread happiness and be an instrument if I am spiritually uplifted. So that's what we want to say here. Then Jayanti sister mentioned about beautiful souls of all the Brahma Kumaris. Dadi Prakashmani, Dadi Janki is there, Dadi Gulzar is there in front of you. So what is so special about these souls? I mean, you can see they always radiate this beautiful smiles on their face, and you never feel that they are smiling just for the sake of smiling. It is not plastic smile at all. They have done this inner work. You know, this inner work really helps you to produce that smile automatically on the face, as we were seeing in the drill, which was all about how to have a harshit chit, how to have a happy heart, a clear heart, a clean mind. Then Jayantiben mentioned about thermometer of happiness. If you look at Dadi Janki's eyes, they are full of mischief, she mentioned, and she had a distinct sparkle. Dadi Janki sometimes used to be very childlike in her things. If she used to see any brother or a sister a bit tensed, she used to say, "Re, kya hua? Chalo hasna shuru karo." And then she used to play some games with them. So she used to just have a very joyous attitude and try to uplift them with various things which she used to do. 40 years she has spent time, Jayanti Behan has spent with Dadi Janki. Then Sister Jayanti spoke about these beautiful 5 qualities. I know we in Brahma Kumaris teach about 7 qualities, but Jayanti Behan mentioned about these 5 original ones. It's mentioned in front of you in the second point: purity, peace, love, truth, and joy. And on this, a question was asked from the audience that, what about knowledge? Is it not? So Jayanti Behan said that truth itself is knowledge. When we say, no, what is knowledge? Gyan kya hai? Knowing about myself, my true identity is the true knowledge. So truth and knowledge are very closely related. And the 7th one, which we normally consider, is power, Shakti. So Sister Jayanti said that if you amalgamate all these 5 together, you really become an embodiment of power. Shakti Swarup ban jate ho. So all of us have to really check a thermometer of happiness, which Baba keeps saying that mercury ka para hota hai na, para is mercury. So something good happens, I really feel very elated and happy. The next moment, I get some depressing news, some bad news, my thermometer just drops down and I drop dead in one way. So where is my cheerfulness gone? So we need to work on this inner cheerfulness. So for this, Sister Jayanti told us 3 facts. I'll be working on the first fact now with you all. So it's something about not wearing a happy mask from outside, but it has to stem from within. And the soul should be smiling from within. What is the soul smile? It is about being spiritual. And I feel जैसे हम बाहर से छोटे बच्चों को गुदगुदी करते हैं ना, so they feel ticklish and they start really laughing. I mean, if you look at a small kid, the way you see he laughs is like even you start laughing with them. That is the true cheerfulness, because it is coming from the inside. That child is so flexible and innocent, he doesn't know anything about outside. So again here, she spoke about Dadi Janki, who even at the age of 92 years was so cheerful. She used to say, I am what I am. Main jaisi hu waisi hu. I will continue to do the seva I can, and the title makes no difference. Because I remember here, she mentioned that Dadi Janki was made the chief of Brahma Kumaris at, I think, in 2007 when Dadi Prakashmani left the body. So someone congratulated her, Dadi, अरे आपको chief की Brahma Kumaris के होने की बधाई हो. So Dadi said, I am what I am. It doesn't really make a difference to me. And right now, as I speak about this, since last 2-3 days, all of you know, Sister Jayanti has been chosen as the additional administrative head of Brahma Kumaris. So titles really don't make any difference to people. They are the same beautiful, radiant souls from inside. And this title is just for an administrative thing for the people to know what is your role in the institution, because these titles can really make you dependent and attached to them. So she said these three things: dependency, attachments, and possessiveness will really make your cheerfulness go away in a second, right? And it reminds me of many army people, ex-army persons, who on their title plates outside their houses, it's all written ex-army man. That X is written in very small font and army is written in a big. So just from a distance, you can make ha army ka banda hai. But when you go near, it is written X. So it shows that there is so much of attachment towards that title, and this possessiveness really takes away my cheerfulness. So then Didi Jayanti gave a beautiful example of happiness, that one of the British professors who conducted the research on happiness, and he really met all the celebrities he met. And the two common answers which people feel are responsible for increasing happiness is money and physical appearance. So he really interviewed all the multimillionaires and also all the Hollywood celebrities. So all people having a lot of name and fame. But she told us a lot of stories about them. But just to summarize, that the billionaire felt that there is always this constant fear in him if the stock market crashes, and if he's invested in that, there's a fear of losing money. And the beautiful Hollywood actors and actresses say they really can't enjoy the life because they are constantly fearing that, oh my, I'll gain this much pounds, I don't have to eat this sweet, that sweet. So they are constantly in worry. And that actually, if you're I must say, a carefree person without worries, that is your real beauty, the inner beauty, and it shows out as outer radiance. But these beautiful actors and actresses, I must say, it's more of powder and puff, all the makeup, but beneath the makeup is really a lot of pain and agony, that how should I maintain my body. So what at Brahma Kumaris we are taught, you also have to do makeup, but you have to make your mental makeup. Your mind has to be cheerful all the time. So this is what was reflected in that. Second fact, Didi said, apart from happiness, second is, as we discussed in the drill today, having a clean chit, a clean inside, which many times we see that the mind should be clear, the intellect should be, the mind should be clean, the intellect should be clear, and the heart should be happy. This is what we are taught here. So this inside cleanliness, safai, which again reminds me, Dadi Janki used to say, sachai and safai. So, if you are very truthful to yourself and to everyone in your dealings with, you really don't need to wear a mask. You don't need to hide anything. So this is what Sister Jayanti was mentioning. And also we need to start clearing the intellect. In Brahma Kumaris, we say कि हमारे बुद्धि की तार जुड़ी हुई है बाबा से, only if that tar is saf and divya, if it is divine. So I'll only be able to catch, the catching power of the soul will increase, and it will get beautiful touchings from the divine God only if my intellect is connected to the divine, right? So as we always say that God is a big energy storehouse, always freely available. But am I ready to connect to that, right? So I have to really clean out my internal organs, by which I mean the mind and the intellect, and then I'll be able to connect with God easily. And third fact, she mentioned about these two beautiful values, that to maintain cheerfulness, love and cooperation need to be always there in your behavior. It has to be constant. And this was the essence of maintaining good relationships. Don't gossip because it's dangerous. And to add to that, she mentioned, do a kind deed. give what people need. We may give money, but people really don't need money, they need food. So this is a very important, I think, I must say, karmic principle, that whenever you see beggars on the street or even at the traffic signals, they constantly knock at your car windows. So I think carry something with you, maybe carry toli, which is the prasad, what we call in Brahma Kumaris, and give them toli rather than giving money, because that money, how they are using, you never know. They may use it for something wrong and it will be a big karmic account. You are responsible for that. So that is to be taken care of. And it reminds me of Jayanti Behan. She's always full of lightness and always has a beautiful smile. So laughter and lightness, which can make anyone smile and increase your cheerfulness. And this all again stems from inside. She gave a few tips for happiness, that you need to have a good, clear communication. Again, my communication will be clear with people if my mind is pure. So in Baba's drill today, we had about reality and royalty of purity. So reality and royalty of purity. So if my thought, word, and action is pure, my communication will be absolutely clear. I won't need to make up that I have to speak like that, I have to behave like that. No. And this can only happen if I'm able to be in that inner state of calmness and peacefulness. And then I'll be an instrument to make others happy. So today, actually, I'm surprised. I have finished a bit early and the questions are only two. I've already covered the second question. So the first question was, how can someone be cheerful? I think it was a doctor who was asking. He was witnessing so many deaths from COVID. How can I remain cheerful inside? So Didi said that it is not about just having a smile from outside, but as a doctor, we know it's very challenging that we have to counsel constantly people who have had their relatives leaving the body. And it is like in wholesale, I must say, concession mein, as Baba says in the Murlis, that concession mein maut aayega. People will leave their bodies, and we have witnessed that. People will leave the bodies really like as if it is just coming out from the machine. Something is just coming out as a production from the production house. So we'll see dead bodies going out, and we have witnessed all that on a very small level. So as a doctor, it was for her that from Didi Jayanti to that doctor, it was that you need to maintain this inner stability of yours. Remember, God has sent you as an instrument to help others, and you are also medically knowledgeable about the body as well. So since you have to counsel that family, you have to be very cheerful from inside, because if I am depressed, if I am wonderstruck, oh, what has happened, why did this happen, then I'll radiate that energy to them, and that is highly stressful energy. They are already stressed. So I can simply give a smile of warmth, have this inner cheerfulness, and connect them to God. Right. So with this, I'll just stop sharing the screen. And again, yeah, sorry, I forgot to share the screen. Something very important after this. Yes. So our Vihasa team, the experts, you all know all these beautiful faces, and right at the extreme right hand side, we have Sister Maureen. I must say that why I'm wanting to introduce this way, because it really, I feel at home when all the Vihasa experts render their sharings on this platform. And I have shared last time a few things about Sister Maureen, but let me just, because there are quite a few new people, Sister Maureen, so I'll just give a little bit of introduction about you. So Sister Maureen has been instrumental in the services of Global Cooperation House in London since almost more than 40 years now. And for nearly last 20 years, from 1991, she's overseeing the works, the work of Brahma Kumaris at GCH, and she has contributed to all these value-based workshops in prisoners, and also conducted a lot of residential seminars, the topic being spirituality in prison. So she's contributed a lot in the service field with a lot of prisoners. She's also conducted talks about respect, it's about time. That initiative, which was launched by the Royal Highness of Prince of Wales, and it helped in bringing young people together in Britain's various interfaith communities. And all of you know that she is, I had told last time as well, that she is on the board of the religious leaders of the Elijah Interfaith Institute and the Peace Pledge to live loving kindness and compassion. I had told that, and Lastly, Didi, sister, sorry, I'm saying Didi. I'm having the privilege to say Didi. So Sister Maureen, also in 2017, she presented on something called the ethical dimension at the climate change conference in Bonn. So she's got a lot of service opportunities to her credit. But one thing which I must say, when you look at her, the cheerfulness radiates from her. Last time she shared with us on responsibility, but I think today it will be much more. She is an embodiment of cheerfulness. So with this, I'll just stop my sharing and over to Sister Maureen. Thank you. And thank you for joining at 5:30. I know it's 5:30 at UK. Thanks once again. Yeah.
That's okay. So let's just have a moment of silence together. Thank you. And Om Shanti. And thank you very much for welcoming me again. And yes, it may be early, but even when it's early, we can be cheerful, right? Actually, I was quite struck by this last question about when you're faced with suffering, with death, and how do you remain cheerful? And I just relate an experience that one of our sisters, a very close friend, was going through cancer. She passed away, I think, in 1997. And I was with her through the journey. So going to hospital appointments with her and, you know, sort of helping with her welfare and everything. And of course, we knew that it was terminal. What was interesting was that that was the time I learned that healing is not necessarily about healing in a physical sense, because I watched over that last period how she healed all her relationships with her family, with friends, with others. And then I understood that the soul needed that healing before passing on. But I remember one point sitting there with her and in my mind just asking God, what's the best thing that I can do for her? And the answer I got was, stay happy. Now, you may think someone's dying of cancer, you stay happy. It's not happy that they're dying, of course, but happy in the sense that what she needed around her was an atmosphere of happiness to make that passage easy. She didn't need an atmosphere of, oh, I'm sorry, oh, what's happened. No, she needed the atmosphere of happiness. And it wasn't so easy at first, but then, yes, I knew this is the right thing. And it was a very beautiful experience, actually. And so she left in a very, very beautiful yogi way with a lot of silence. So just wanted to relate that and in a way reinforce what was being said. But this theme of being cheerful, I was just thinking that if you want to really see a cheerful face, then you want to look at the deities, at the devatas, and don't their faces look beautiful? Their eyes, they may not be smiling in a broad sense, but they just look so happy from the inside. And you look at those faces and you feel uplifted. And as has been said, cheerfulness is something certainly that comes from the inside. It isn't just something that's external or superficial. And to be cheerful, I mean, in today's world, and as has been expressed, there's just so much. One is the suffering, and I think something that causes a lot of suffering is, on a mental level, is the uncertainty that there is around us at the moment. And, you know, here in the UK, tomorrow is the day that all the legal restrictions of COVID are being lifted, and the emphasis is being put on personal responsibility. And we're getting very mixed messages from the government. On the one hand, yes, no legal restrictions anymore. On the other hand, cases are going up. There's going to be more cases. Be careful, be cautious. It's actually not just uncertain, it's quite confusing for people. So in a way, the government putting the onus back on the people. Well, if you're not careful, this is the result. And, you know, how to stay cheerful in the middle of all of that. Yes, if we are yogis, if we have that connection with God, with the divine, then of course we're able to put everything on that divine being and feel safe with that. Not everyone can do that, but also, even if you're a yogi, you can't do that all the time. There are times when you get influenced, you get affected. And also, it's important that you know how to help others through your happiness, through your cheerfulness. And I know that this morning, shortly after this session, I'll be going into our big morning class in London, and there'll be, well, our numbers are restricted at the moment because of social distancing, so there'll be probably about 140 people present, but there'll be probably up to 300 watching on the webcast. And I have to make the announcements about how we're opening up for tomorrow with COVID and what we're putting in place. And so I know that if I said, oh, tomorrow we'll do this, and I looked very sad, well, everybody would say, we don't want to come to Global Cooperation House. But if I make those announcements with happiness, with a cheerful face, people will say, yes, this is good, and let us come, we're going to be safe, it'll be fine. And just to reassure you, not just throwing the doors open and saying back to normal, taking it very, very gradually, because people need to feel safe and we need to be safe. Anyway, so your cheerfulness goes a long way. And, you know, even, you know, people recognize that this state of cheerfulness is something that can be very beneficial and that can do a lot. And, you know, if you have a cheerful personality, sometimes the term is used, a sunny personality. You know, there are people, aren't there, that when they come into the room and they smile, you feel the sunshine has come. I used to feel that about our former head of the Brahma Kumaris, Daddy Prakash Mani, and her smile was so wonderful. And I would always say to her, Daddy, when you come in the room and smile, it's like the sun comes up, the sun rises. And I really, really felt that. And so yes, there's a sunny personality that just uplifts the atmosphere in such a natural and beautiful way. If you were to tell people, be happy, well, they may or they may not. But if you smile and you bring that atmosphere of cheerfulness, naturally people feel happier in themselves because you've lifted and you've lightened the atmosphere. And where there's cheerfulness, lightening the atmosphere is one thing, but also you're able to make friends a lot more easily. When somebody is cheerful and a little outgoing, then yes, I can talk to people, I can find a way of making a connection, and that goes a long way too, because we all need friends in life, and it's important to feel that we're surrounded by friends. And also, I always feel when you're more cheerful, it will help you to relax. Your mind is not so preoccupied with the heaviness of life, and you can be more relaxed in situations. I just saw a cartoon just before coming. It was quite funny. And it said, well, when you're worried, it helps to sit down and think about things. And in the cartoon was a big dog sitting on top of a little dog. So it doesn't mean that you have to squash your problems, or you have to squash the people that you don't like or don't get on with. But to sit and think about things and to really understand, if my mind is cheerful and my mind is light, I'll be able to see many more things, have many more insights than if I have a heavy mind. A mind that's heavy with worry just can't see a way out of problems, just can't see how to resolve the problems. And even if somebody says to you, look, it's very easy, just do this and this, you say, no, but you don't understand, your mind is heavy, you can't even accept the good advice that's being given to you. So cheerfulness very much, I feel, equates with lightness of mind. It's a little bit like, I come up against a wall, and the wall may only be this wide, but all I can see is the wall. And someone will say to me, just step up to the side and then go around. No, this wall is too big. So all you see are the problems, and you don't see that there are solutions that are very, very possible with a little bit of cheerfulness. And, when you can't do something or something's not right, and you say, well, or you've forgotten something, or you make a mistake, then you be light with yourself and you'll say, okay, I'll do better next time. Okay, I've learned from that. Okay, let me move on. But you won't stick there and you won't become heavy. So this personality of cheerfulness doesn't get stuck in the past at all, because as soon as something's happened, it's become the past, right? And you're into a new present. And so you don't want to get stuck in that which happened even 10 minutes ago. So a cheerful personality, very beneficial in that way. And yes, when there's a cheerful personality, then people who are your, well, you can say turns enemies into friends. But actually, I love the quote from Gandhiji when he was asked, do you, what was he asked? Do you consider your enemies as your friends? He said, oh, but I don't have any enemies. And I thought that was so beautiful. So only friends when we have that cheerful disposition, not even to see someone as my enemy or see someone as my opponent, but to have that good vision for everyone. That really is a cheerful person. And when you have good vision for someone, it helps them to believe in themselves. And I often feel the greatest gift you can give someone is to believe in them. And there's a very nice story I heard, and it was about a newly qualified school teacher in Australia. And she started her first job in this school. And she was given this class to manage. And actually, they were the worst class of the school. But they didn't say anything to her. They just gave her this class. And after a while, after a few weeks and months, these children that she was looking after, that were responsible for, began to achieve very well in their studies. And the head teacher called her and said, how come these children are doing so well? And she said, well, they have very high IQ. And the head teacher said, but they're the thickest class in the school. What do you mean, a high IQ? And she said, I've got the numbers. He said, bring me, show me. And so she brought the list of the children and these numbers, 100 and something, you know, all these high numbers. And she said, look, they have a high IQ, so why shouldn't they do well? And the head teacher looked at the list and said, they're not their IQ numbers, they're their locker numbers. Sorry, volume is low, little low. Can I help that? 1 minute.
No, volume is quite okay.
Okay, somebody said volume is low. Okay.
Anu sister, is it okay? Anu and Pooja sisters? I think it's quite okay for me as well.
It's
because
quite
it's on,
okay.
it's
Yeah,
quite
okay.
okay.
You put your volume up a little. Yeah. Okay. Yes, so they're locker numbers. And the point is that she saw that and she believed in them. And that made them achieve. And so I always feel that when you know, you believe in someone, they rise to that. And that's the biggest gift you can give anybody, is to believe in them. So cheerfulness goes a very, very long way. And cheerfulness is something that isn't superficial. If it's superficial, you'll know those people who come to you and they smile, but the vibe you get is very different. You know that they're not really liking you, but they just feel they need to smile and be nice to you. It's not very pleasant, is it? I think we've all experienced that, where people just, you know, are nice to you for the sake of it. And so real cheerfulness, and that's not going to be uplifting for anybody. So real cheerfulness is something that has been talked about, and Sister Jenny talked about, is something that really, really comes from the inside. And it's something that is not based on the external factors, because as we said just at the start, seeing the conditions in the world and the uncertainty, if my cheerfulness was to be based on external things, well, I'd constantly be miserable because everything is so uncertain and difficult. But where my cheerfulness is based on what's happening inside of me, then it's something that can be more in my control and something that can be then more constant. It won't fluctuate according to the circumstances around me. Or even if it does, we'll be able to put ourselves right quite quickly. And being cheerful on the inside indicates that I know and value myself, and I believe in myself, and I love myself. And you know, what do we value more than anything? It really is the being that we are. And of course, I think all of you know that, and have been, you know, understood that the soul is the being, the body is the costume. And yes, I use this costume. The costume will be of all different shapes and sizes, that's for sure. All different colors, all different. And of course, today, the whole thing of racism is coming up very, very strongly. Certainly US, Europe, and I know in other places too. When somebody is different, then are they pushed to one side? Are they are they treated in a suspicious way? And, you know, if all are souls, then we are all brothers, we are all sisters. So anyway, that would be a big subject in itself, wouldn't it? But the sorrow that is caused by responding to somebody on the basis of the external, of what they look like, or what culture they come from, or what religion they come from. There's a huge amount of sorrow that is caused by that, and putting people into boxes and into pigeonholes. And in fact, you know, even in anthropological terms, there is only one human race. There's not different, we use the term races, but there's actually only one race. There may be different ethnicities, but there's only one race, because we can connect with each other and marry each other and, you know, produce children and all of that. You can't do that if you're different species. We're all the same species. And so everybody has a right to be treated with that human dignity. But you can only do that for others when you value yourself, when you have a sense of self-respect, and you have that deep understanding of being a soul, not being the body, not being the labels of culture, religion, whatever it is, gender. So many labels that we carry around with ourselves. And if you think about carrying labels, you become heavy. Brahma Baba, the founder of the Brahma Kumaris, he didn't have any time for labels. He taught everyone to be soul conscious. And he demonstrated this in a variety of ways. But when, of course, the organization first started, it was largely women who had come with Brahma Baba into the community. Not totally, but 2/3 at least were women. And Baba had that vision that women could become spiritual leaders and teachers. And in the 1930s in India, nobody had that vision for women at that time. And even today, we know the conditions, not just in India, other countries too, of female infanticide and so on, but we don't want to go into all of that. But there's discrimination on the basis of gender everywhere in the world, without an exception. And but he said to them, don't think of yourself as women. Think of yourself as souls. And in this way, he empowered them. And what's amazing, the women used to drive the vehicles. I remember one of the daddies, most of our daddies have gone now, just one daddy is left. Daddy means elder sister. And one of the daddies, she told me how they used to go under the bus to fix the bus, you know, they were the mechanics, you know. And even today in London, it's not that many women bus drivers. I'm always very happy when I see women in those roles which are outside of the stereotype. And I didn't know until fairly recently that Air India has a lot of women pilots. And on International Women's Day, they fly with all female crews. So the pilot, the co-pilot, the stewards, and so on and so forth. I remember on one flight to India, you know how the captain comes out usually halfway through the flight and looks. And I saw this woman, very tall and obviously very dignified. And I thought she was the captain. So I asked her, are you the captain of the flight? She said, yes. I said, that's wonderful. And she told me that she'd been flying with Air India for 30 years. So that's a wonderful thing. But yes, coming out of those stereotypes so that we're not bogged down, we're not heavy. And this comes to really valuing myself as a soul. And then I say, there are no limits as to what I can do. And, you know, being cheerful, part of being cheerful is, I feel, freeing myself of those labels and those conditionings. Oh dear, people really can't hear very well.
No, actually, it's their device problems, because I think we are quite fine. We can hear it clearly.
Oh dear. Okay, I just check. I'm sure this is on. The microphone is on.
No, it's perfect. Don't worry.
All right. Yes. Okay, where was I? Yes. So being cheerful is often, as I say, about clearing out these conditionings that we have from the moment we're born, we're, you know, introduced to who we are on an external level. And so as I become more and more aware of the soul itself, that I am a soul, as I become more and more aware of the qualities I have, my original qualities of peace, of love, of purity, of wisdom, of light, of strength, as I become more and more aware, then the lighter I become. Because I now know I'm secure in myself, that I have my inner resources to fall back on at any moment. In fact, I'm using my inner resources at every moment. And this gives me tremendous inner strength to stay light, even in the face of adversity. And we all face challenges all the time. But can I stay light by knowing who I am in the midst of all those challenges? Because why the challenges make me suffer or make me doubt myself is because I start to believe that the challenges are real, and they don't, well, they are real. I don't mean that they're not real, but I start to believe that these are things that are very difficult and I can't get over. And if I believe that, then they'll always be difficult. But when I know that with my inner resources, with my inner wisdom, there is a way out of the challenges, then it's like, you know, they say when there's a ship and there's a storm, that the captain has to steer the ship into the eye of the storm, the center of the storm. And in the eye of the storm, there is calm, and the ship will be safe. And it's a bit like that, that the challenges are there, but because I know who I am, because I have that self-respect and self-dignity, because I'm aware of my inner qualities guiding me, it's like I'm in the eye of the storm and there's calm, and I can use my wisdom and I can use my inner strength to find a solution, to find a way out, to help and support others. And this is part of cheerfulness, because inner happiness, that is one of my natural qualities. And when there's inner happiness, then I naturally, what's going to show on my face? My face, I'm going to smile, my eyes are going to smile, everything's going to smile. You don't just smile with your lips. And we've all had to wear face masks, but still, you look at someone's eyes and you can tell if they're smiling. And so we really need to go deep in order to be light. The deeper we go, the lighter we become. The more wisdom we have, the lighter we become. the more inner peace we have, the lighter we become. The more inner strength we have, the lighter we become. The more love we have, the lighter we become. And you know, when you're with those souls who are very, very loving, they're just so light and so free. And the more and the more deeply I'm connected with God, the lighter I become. And, you know, there's, it's interesting that lately I've been thinking about this concept of safety and psychological safety. It's a term that's used, that people need psychological safety, in the sense that I need to feel safe in the place where I'm living, with the people that I'm mixing with, in my workplace or wherever I am. I need to feel safe that people, and I'm not in a sense defensive, I'm fearful that someone's going to undermine me, someone's going to insult me. If I have that little bit of fear, then I'm not in a situation of safety. I may be physically safe, but am I psychologically safe? Am I mentally and emotionally safe? And sometimes you can't just get the safety from hoping other people will change their behavior or their attitude towards you. It's something that you have to do inside. And this has been my experience, that when I really am connected with myself, I'm soul conscious, I'm connected with God, and I feel that God is there as my protector. Then, because, as I think I mentioned last time, we come into that mode of giving instead of taking. And this is the only way I've found that I can really, really feel safe in myself. And I think that's very, very important, because people feel very unsafe. You know, sometimes in the center, of course, people come to speak to you, and they tell you of maybe their childhood, things they've been through. And when you hear about the things that people have been through, where they haven't had that love and security growing up, they haven't felt safe, you begin to understand how they carry with them a doubt of everyone. You know, it's like in their whole life, they have to fight for everything. And they can't feel safe unless they are fighting for something. I've noticed this in a few people, and it's been very helpful to understand and to value them in such a way that will make them feel safe. And that's really a very big thing, to win someone's trust and to help them to feel safe. At least if they can feel safe in your presence, perhaps that will help them to feel safe inside and to feel safe with God. Of course, the biggest safety is the safety with God, the safety with the divine. Yeah, so all of that can make us heavy and we won't be cheerful. Another aspect of cheerfulness is, you know, a person who's cheerful is also optimistic, an optimist. And optimism comes from a couple of things. Optimism definitely comes from valuing the self, because then I know there's something I can give, there's something I can do. When I'm a pessimist, if you see people who are pessimistic, the language they use is usually of, you know, lack. We say a deficit discourse. They will talk about things that they lack, but they will also speak in a way that they're telling you, I'm helpless. I don't know what to do. I'm helpless in this situation. it's helpless in the world, hopeless, helpless, you know, there's no possibility, there's no future. So that pessimism, of course, makes a person very heavy and even depressed inside. But where there's optimism, there is that sense of who you are. There's a sense that you can contribute something and give something to make a situation better or more, you know, or help to uplift others or to use your wisdom. But also I feel optimism comes from having a sense of purpose. And when I understand myself, then I can understand better, not just I'm a soul, but what kind of soul am I? Daddy Janki would say this. She'd say, yes, I am a soul, but what kind of soul am I? And so I then can recognize my speciality, my virtue, and what I can uniquely bring and give to the world. And we're all different, and we all bring very unique gifts to the world. And so when I recognize the gift I can give to the world, then I begin to get a sense of purpose. And then what happens is that an opportunity to use that gift, or maybe more, several gifts, opens up in front of me. An opportunity to serve using those gifts opens up in front of me. And so my sense of purpose increases, and I also become more and more optimistic. But where I don't recognize my gifts, then those opportunities don't come in front of me. And this is where, and then I can feel hopeless or helpless. And this is where we really understand this principle that I create my world, actually. And that's incredible. And the more, and we have the saying in the Brahma Kumaris, when I change, the world changes. And it's true, not just my own world changes, but the wider world changes. And we have, you know, the more, again, I have that deeper and deeper connection with God, then the more I'm filled, not just with qualities, but divine qualities. So those qualities, there's a difference between human qualities and divine qualities, or human virtues and divine virtues. So human virtues are virtues that I have and I use, but they can, they can deplete over time. If somebody attacks me and doesn't like my virtues or is jealous of me, that's actually the way it happens. It can pull me down. But where we have divine virtues, they are my own virtues, but they're powered by my connection with God. Not dependent on the outside at all, but they're dependent on being empowered by what it is that God is giving me, the strength that God is giving me. And so those virtues become divine virtues. And so my cheerfulness becomes a divine cheerfulness based on those divine virtues. And so, yes, this whole subject of cheerfulness, it's not just about smiling or looking happy. It really is a very deep subject of what you need to do from the inside to bring that attitude of mind of being cheerful, of seeing good, of seeing the best, of seeing solutions. And I remember something that, one of our elder sisters, Daddy Gulzar, said, and I love that, she said, there isn't a problem for which the soul itself doesn't have a solution. And so if I understand divine wisdom, there is a solution, there is something I can do. And I think the world today needs a lot of cheerfulness. In the UK, we're preparing for the big climate change conference that's going to be happening in Glasgow in Scotland. And there's a lot of pessimism around. But what is interesting is that when I interact with the faith communities who are working towards climate change, I find a lot of optimism. And that made me think it's because of faith. It's because of a belief in God, an understanding of God, because there's something more that's empowering those people, you know, and their faith is very strong. And so that's interesting. And so faith and optimism, before I hadn't really made that connection, but there definitely is a connection. So let us really think about this, what cheerfulness really means, and how is it that I can really uplift any gathering, any group of people, anywhere where I am. It's really, really important, and it really, really is a need, not just for myself, but for others around me and for the whole world at this time. Okay, maybe I'll stop there and see if there are any questions or comments. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I have a question. I was actually wondering, it's an interesting question. One way I feel it's interesting. You have spent 40 years or more than that with Dadi Janki. And also you have been, you have seen Dadi Gulzar very closely, and even Dadi Prakashmani, as you mentioned. So do you find there's I'm sure all of them are cheerful, no doubt about that. But do you find that there's a little bit of difference in the cheerfulness, the way they exhibit all these three? If you can just allude to that.
Definitely, yes. They're very different personalities, all of them, amazing. And I remember a situation where there was a group of us in a meeting room, those who go to Madhuban Dadiji's meeting room. We were there with all the three daddies were sitting there. Dadi Gulzar was in the middle, they were at the front. So Dadi Gulzar was in the middle. And as I'm looking, and I can remember the scene so beautifully, and Dadi Janki was to my left and Dadi Prakashmani was to my right. And Dadi Prakashmani was, she used to like to share all the things that are happening in Madhuban, our headquarters. And she'd share lots of household things and what people were doing. And, you know, there were lots of things she was sharing. And Dadi Janki, you know, she always likes to talk and very vivacious. And she kept interrupting her. And, you know, it was kind of a funny scene going on. And they were, you know, talking away. And then suddenly they just stopped. I forget what they were talking about now in detail. But suddenly they both just stopped and turned to Dadi Gulzar in the middle, who'd been sitting very quietly, and said, "Gulzar, what do you think?" And she said, "Oh, I wasn't thinking anything. I was just listening." And I thought, it just brought home to me their personalities, and it was amazing. So there's Dadi Prakashmani, you know, wanting to share everything that's going on. She was so open, so transparent. Not that the others weren't, but it was really her quality. Dadi Janki always wanting to share wisdom, knowledge with us, coming in with that, so enthusiastic. And Dadi Gulzar, very, very quiet and introverted. And she didn't speak that much. And she would stay quiet inside. When she did speak, amazing wisdom came out. But a very quiet personality. And she never, and you know, Dadi Prakashmani, a fantastic administrator. Dadi Janki, not so much an administrator, but worked on inspiration all the time, divine inspiration. Dadi Gulzar just gave a divine presence. So all cheerful in their own way. You look at any one of their faces and you smile because they're so beautiful, but their personality is very, very different.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. And I'll just take one question has come to me because I have disabled the chat box that way for everyone. because it was too disturbing that way. So the sister is asking that Brahma Baba once mentioned that laughing out loud is also not being royal, and we won't be like that in the golden age. So please comment on that, she's saying.
It's true, yes. And I remember also being picked up on that. One of our dadas, Dada Vishwaratan, again, a very introverted yogi individual. And I was in the courtyard in Mount Abu, and no, I was wherever, anyway, one of the complexes. And I was laughing about something. And he told me, don't laugh so loudly. And, you know, while I definitely advocate having fun, and I've seen the daddies laugh a lot, and it's fine to laugh. But I think where it comes in, it becomes a little bit extrovert in a sense, is if we're laughing to impress someone, and that can happen, and we want to draw attention to ourselves. If we're laughing at the expense of somebody, that's very bad. So my laughter has to be a laughter that is uplifting. I come back to this. It isn't that we can't laugh, but a raw way of laughing is a way of laughing that uplifts. So yes, not to laugh too loudly or raucously, because then it can be misinterpreted in different ways.
Fine. I'll just take last question because there's a little bit of time. So Sister Pooja is asking, how is happiness distinct from cheerfulness?
Okay. So happiness leads to cheerfulness. Cheerfulness is an expression of happiness. So happiness, your inner happiness. Happiness is inside, but you know someone's happy by their cheerfulness, right? So somebody who's happy automatically is cheerful, automatically is uplifting. And that's the vibration that you always receive from them. And when you receive that vibration, you feel very good inside. So isn't it nice to think that by our inner happiness and our cheerfulness, we can help others to feel good inside themselves? I like that. But happiness is really is an original quality of the soul. So it's like you have the original qualities, happiness, peace, love, purity, wisdom. These are like our core qualities that are eternal. And so, yes, they get buried and then they have to be awakened again, but they are with us eternally. Then the expression of those qualities are in the divine virtues like respect, tolerance, cheerfulness, and so on. So very much cheerfulness is an expression of happiness.
Okay, great. Thank you. And actually, Dr. Mehta, Ashok Mehta, he just conveyed an apology for you that he's not able to join for some reason. He's got some Lokik commitment today, Sunday morning here. So I would propose the vote of thanks. I would really like to thank you immensely for sharing your wisdom on the two talks, on the two values, cheerfulness and responsibility. And we will hope to again catch you up soon sometime later as well. So thank you once again. And before we move on to the meditation, I'll just take a few minutes to do the announcements so that then we leave in meditation mode. Yeah, so continuing with the Values for Life series, as all of you are aware, it's a fortnightly series, and we are covering discipline this time. All of you know it's Didi Manmohini's month. 28 July 1983 was the day she became Avyakt. So very close to the day 28 July, and none other than Asha Didi, who itself is, I mean, she exudes that discipline in her behavior and also in her dealings with everyone. So, and Didi Manmohini was also, I must say, an embodiment of discipline. She had this beautiful balance of discipline with love. So love and law, she was an embodiment of that. And again, after that, again, we won't be leaving UK, London so soon. We have again Sister Gopi with us. She's joining us after, I think, 3-4 months now. So she'll be sharing her experiences on discipline, and that will be, as usual, the workshop. It's on a Saturday. We'll tell you all about the timings later. We are planning to change the times for from few episodes, just to fit in more people from the west coast of US and Canada. And this is our exotic calendar which we have, which is coming to you in the invitations as well. So 24th and 31st, the dates to mark your calendar. With this, I'll just stop sharing, and I'll just request again Sister Maureen to take us in the meditation on cheerfulness.
Thank you. I take a pause. I stop and withdraw my thoughts from all the external distractions. I go inside into my inner world. Into the world of the soul, the being. The true self. I am a soul, a being of light. I am light. And in this awareness, I'm free from all the labels, all the conditionings. I'm free to be my true self. And that true self, the soul, is filled with many qualities. Of peace, of love, of happiness, of purity, wisdom. Knowing my inner qualities, I value and respect myself. And there's an inner calm, inner silence. And in this silence, I connect with the divine, with the Supreme Soul, the one who's always there for me, my eternal parent, my beloved, as I connect. I feel the flow of energy from God. Energy of love. Energy of strength and power. And I feel that I, the soul, am being awakened. Awakened to the true reality of who I am and my true purpose in life. And as I awaken to this, I know that inner happiness will be expressed in many ways. I begin to live from the inside out, not from the outside in. I, the soul, am like a boat in the water of life. And the boat is in the water, but the water mustn't come in the boat and make me sink. I stay afloat, alert, optimistic, happy, and cheerful through everything I go through. Because I have the power of the divine. And so my virtues become divine. I become an instrument to uplift those around me and the world. Om Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Maureen. And thanks once again.
Thank you.
Anu, sister, you have to say something.
We'll click a picture. There are so many new people, but thank you so much, Maureen sister. So purely we feel in the heart. And I loved it. You said divine virtue is based on the trust on God, the same virtues and qualities that is unshakable because it's in the faith, with the faith on God. Thank you so much. Wanted to just mention that. And I think there are so many new people today. If you can all open up your videos, we can have this moment captured. And we request all of you to open up your videos.
Hello to everyone.
Great, everyone. And Sister Maureen, you can also make it gallery view.
Yes,
are-
I'm looking.
Nice.
Nice to see everyone. Shanti.
With sister, but I haven't taken the picture. So today should be the real cheerfulness from our heart. So let's try that. 1, 2, and 3. Hold on. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for
so
inviting me to be with you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Manoj. Okay.
Thank
Om Shanti. Thank you.